You're home alone. It's late. You flick off the living room light, and suddenly the short hallway to your bedroom looks about a mile long. 100% that nothing is there. It's the same hallway it was 10 seconds ago with the light on. And yet some older, quieter part of your brain is very calmly telling you, walk faster. Maybe don't look back. So why? Why does a grown adult, the apex predator of planet Earth, still get a cold little jolt of fear from an empty, dark room? The answer is one of the oldest and, weirdly, one of the most rational instincts you own. Let's start with the most important idea, because it reframes everything. You're not actually afraid of the dark. Darkness is just an absence of light. It can't hurt you. What you're really afraid of is what the dark might be hiding. Fear of the dark is fear of vulnerability, the gut-level knowledge that something could be there, and you would never see it coming. Darkness is the purest possible version of the unknown. And the unknown is the one thing our brains are built, above all else, to fear. And to understand why that fear is burned so deep into you, you have to remember what nighttime meant for almost the entire history of our species. For hundreds of thousands of years, when the sun went down, humans became prey. We are a daytime species. Our eyes are built for daylight, and our night vision is genuinely terrible compared to the animals that hunt after dark. Big cats, hyenas, and other predators could see in the dark far better than we could. Many of them have a special mirror-like layer at the back of the eye, the thing that makes a cat's eyes glow when light hits them, that lets them squeeze vision out of almost no light. We have nothing like it. So, the night belonged to them. Every evening, our ancestors sat in the dark, knowing that something out there could see them while they couldn't see it. In that world, fear was not weakness. Fear was survival equipment. The humans who felt uneasy in the dark, who stayed close to the fire, who didn't wander off alone at night, those were the humans who lived long enough to have children. The fearless ones got eaten. You are descended from the scaredy cats. Their caution is your inheritance. In fact, this is a big part of why fire mattered so much to us. Taming fire wasn't just about warmth and cooking. It was about pushing back the dark. A fire through a circle of light and safety around our ancestors held the predators at the edge of the shadows and stretched the safe, waking hours past sunset. Around that fire, humans could stay up, stay together, and, many researchers think, tell the first stories. The glow that kept the darkness out may have helped make us who we are. And there's a deeper reason the dark hits us so hard. Vision is our superpower. Roughly 80% of the information your brain processes comes through your eyes. Sight is your primary weapon, your early warning system, your whole way of understanding the world. So when the light goes out, you're not just losing a little visibility, you are being stripped of your single most important sense. Imagine the most capable person you know, suddenly blindfolded in a place they don't trust. That helpless feeling? That's darkness doing exactly what it has always done to us, switching off our best tool and leaving us exposed. Now here's where it gets genuinely fascinating, because we can watch this fear happen inside the brain. Deep in your head sits the amygdala, your brain's threat alarm. In 2021, a study in the journal PLOS One found something remarkable. Light actively calms the amygdala down. There are special light-sensitive cells in your eyes that connect almost directly to it. So when it's bright, your alarm system is soothed. But in the dark, that calming signal disappears. The amygdala ramps up, while the prefrontal cortex, the rational, thinking part of your brain, gets quieter. Your emotional alarm gets louder, exactly as your logical voice gets softer. That is why there's nothing there feels so useless in a dark room. Chemically, the part of you that knows better has literally been turned down. And then your brain does one last thing that makes it so much worse. When it can't get clear visual information, it doesn't just wait patiently. It fills in the blanks. This is called pareidolia, and it's why a coat on a chair becomes a hunched figure, and a pile of laundry grows a face. Your brain takes the ambiguous shadows and guesses, and because it evolved in a world full of predators, it always guesses the scary option, and that's actually smart. Think about the math. If you mistake a bush for a bear, you lose a few seconds of dignity. If you mistake a bear for a bush, you lose your life. A brain that assumes the worst in the dark survives more often than a brain that stays calm. So, your imagination isn't malfunctioning. It's doing its job a little too well. Psychologists have a name for this: the smoke detector principle. A smoke alarm that occasionally shrieks at burnt toast is annoying, but a smoke alarm that stays silent during a real fire is deadly. So, evolution set our alarm to be oversensitive on purpose. 100 false frights in the dark cost you nothing but a racing heart and a sheepish laugh. One missed threat costs you everything. Your fear of the dark is that smoke detector, wired to go off at the faintest hint of danger. Because the ancestors whose alarms were too quiet simply didn't make it. And remember how recent our victory over the dark actually is. For more than 99% of human history, when the sun went down, the world went truly black, lit only by the moon, the stars, and whatever fire you could keep burning. The streetlight and the electric bulb are barely a century and a half old. Evolution works far, far slower than that. Your body is still running software, written for a world with no light switch, which is exactly why flooding your house with electricity at the touch of a button hasn't erased the fear. The instinct is hundreds of thousands of years old. The light switch is 150. The wiring simply hasn't caught up. This is also why kids are the most afraid of the dark of all. It makes perfect sense. A small child is the most vulnerable, the least able to defend itself, so its alarm system is turned up the highest. The fear peaks when we're young, and it fades as we grow, but it never fully leaves. Huge numbers of adults still admit to a flicker of unease in a pitch-black room, still sleep a little easier with a hall light on, still walk a little faster up the basement stairs. That flicker you feel is the same ancient circuit, just quieter. And it's worth saying just how widespread this really is. Fear of the dark, or nyctophobia in its stronger form, is one of the most common fears on the entire planet, and not just among children. Surveys regularly find that a striking share of fully grown adults admit they feel uneasy alone in a pitch-black room, would rather not sleep in total darkness, and know that quiet pull to get to the light switch a little faster than they'd ever admit out loud. It's one of the very few fears that almost every human being quietly shares, precisely because almost every human being inherited the exact same ancient wiring. You are not the exception. You're the rule. If you love finding the ancient survival machine hiding underneath your everyday feelings, subscribe, because I go deep on stuff like this every single week. So the next time you're moving a little too quickly through a dark house, feeling a little silly about it, don't. That fear isn't childish and it isn't irrational. It's a diurnal ape's brain correctly noticing that it has been blinded, running a program written over hundreds of thousands of nights when the dark really was full of teeth. You're not afraid of nothing. You're remembering something. Something your species survived by never quite being allowed to forget.